Hey folks, welcome to Mountainside. Well, as you can see, we're getting back into the woods for the boys, so the baby boys. Excuse me. Because right now, it's the beginning of November, Monday the 4th, and no grass is grown, and these boys don't have a lot of time left on site. So we don't really have pasture to give them because after the hurricane, all the rain stopped. We've maybe had 1/10 of an inch of rain. And it wasn't really rain, it was just like an all-day fog kind of thing in the month of October. So not only do we have the dry leaf condition, but we also have dry ground to go with it. So we're very thankful to our local farmer who grows our hay. So that's what we're doing now. We're, for the most part, we're hay bombing everybody. We're still moving the 2 breeder flocks through pasture areas in the front and in the orchard. But the baby boys, well, I'll show you where they're at. So the baby boys are right here. So they're right up here by the house. See, this is our plucker. So they're right at our chicken processing station. And we have a chicken processing later this week. So we have to move them away from here. So since there's nothing left on the knoll, we're going to put them down here in the woods, let them eat what's in the woods, which isn't much. And like we did last year with last year's babies, we put a lot of hay down. But again, it's only for a couple weeks now. So because Indigo and Vicini, yep, they are slotted for the freezer. And Fezzik, right there, we're not quite sure about him. We're still way up in the air about him, if we're keeping him or not, because he's got the personality and the build we look for. So he might be staying with us. But enough chatting, I got to keep on working. So if you've been following us for a while, or watching any of our past videos about our land clearing, this is one of those spots where I'm still trying to clear out some of the smaller trees, like this one here and a couple over here, in order to get some more pasture growing. But time is a commodity, and it's one of those things that we all have the same amount of, but where do we use it? You know, this week we're still trying to figure out what things are looking like for us here in the farm, here in the community. Like we said before, been spending a lot of time at our church with organization and distribution of donated supplies. But I believe that's coming to an end. This may be the last week for that. So that'll be a good thing for us here. We have somebody coming to the church later on today. Hopefully going to take the majority of our donations into one of the areas of North Carolina. It's not too far away from us, but they were hit a lot harder than we were. So our needs have been met as far as how people are, I don't know, taking advantage, not in a bad way, but making use of the resources available to them. You know, with the power back on, water back on, sewage systems working. And a lot of folk tend to get back into their old ways of doing things. Doing the daily shopping, doing the living the day-to-day. But, you know, it's kind of not what the donations were intended for. You know, they're to meet an immediate need, and I'm going off on a tangent, so we're not going to talk about that. But anyways, so here in the woods, I think I'm going to use a smaller piece of fence. I do have one 50-footer that I think I could use quite simply to close this gap. This should do it. You know, I do find it, how good that did. I do find it interesting that something like going camping at the Homesteaders United Jamboree or an event such as Hurricane Helene can get you thinking differently about how you live, how you plan, how you want to live your life. You know, when we were camping, you revealed holes that we never thought of. And thankfully, we were able to be a little more prepared for when Helene came through. But then, after the Helene event, you know, we realized that yes, we do have holes that needed to be filled in our preparedness, because we don't believe in stockpiling. We're not geared for that. So you won't hear me talking about, you know, we got to put a year's worth of food away and all of that. But we do believe, you know, in living a prepared lifestyle, and what that means for us is probably different than what it means for you. You know, one of my videos right before Helene was our water situation. And for the Helene event, you know, it was fine. You know, our drinking water was fine. Our animal water was fine. Oops. Sorry, I'm tangled. It happens. But, you know, we weren't without power for that very long. So we were able to cook. We were able to clean. We were back up with water in not too long. So, but as I'm thinking about that, and it's like, well, how many days could we have been okay without power? And when I did that math, I really didn't like my answer. I don't need to reveal what that answer is, but, you know, my situation, like I said, is different than yours. Hold on. You know, and because I'm not happy with my answer, whew, that's a tree limb. We've already taken some necessary steps to fix that. But again, it's also practicing the preparedness, because, you know, if I have a handheld radio and I don't know how to use it, what good is it? If I have things for water catchment and I don't have them ready, what good is it? So, you know, how prepared am I? And I think if you ask Amy that question, the answer is going to be different than mine. But that's okay. But I do know one thing that I do need to be turning some of my focus to is being more aware of what my needs are going to be to take care of Amy, the farm, anybody else that may be staying in our community. Because that's a big piece of what we're building these days, is our community. You know, a lot of what we do out here is, I don't want to say it's self-driven. Well, self-driven to the point of I don't need a boss telling me I got to get stuff done. But our drive is really to be a light on a hill, not in a tactical disadvantage kind of way, but to make sure that we are ready for for whatever disaster we could think of. And I still don't think anybody would have ever prepared for a flood in the mountains, but that's a whole different story. But right now, you know, what we think about, all this dry ground, all this dry leaves, dry vegetation. I mean, all these different piles of combustible material, such as tree limbs, fuel, like kerosene, propane, you name it, on or in the ground and in the trees and in the woods. And we know this area is already susceptible to wildfires. So, what do we do in that case? What do we do in the case of this upcoming winter? Still think, for the most part, we're doing well. But, come here. Outside. Good girl. But we do still have some areas that we can improve on. I'm sure most people do. Not a bad little setup. Not bad at all. I don't know if y'all can see that. The sheep were right there by where we're making the move to. Kind of smart like that. They know. It's funny, they don't care about what's going on tomorrow. Or what's, they're not worried about that. The only thing they worry about is if, we're going to show up and feed them. Or move them to their new paddock. Don't plan for the future. Not worried about paying a bill. Anything like that. They just take comfort in their shepherd being right here, working with them, helping them, making sure they're taken care of day to day. I think that's a great lesson we could all learn. Even though, yes, we live a prepared lifestyle, and we firmly believe in being ready, so that if that time does come, then we could be the light on the hill. We still don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Or tomorrow, we still don't know what tomorrow holds. But we sure know who holds tomorrow. And he holds it right in the palm of his hand. Just like he's doing with today. Whew. That's our Lord and our Savior and our Master, Jesus Christ. Where we're at spiritually and where we're moving to spiritually is what really guides our physical. Without him, there is none of this. Without him, there is none of us. So the reason we do it, it's not for us. It's not for you. It's not for our community. But it's really for him. To be his hands and his feet. And to be able to show his love through what we do. Not for us, again. Never for us. But so that he works through us. Not that he needs us to work through. He wants us to work through. But, yeah. Wow. I think the wind, where'd the dog hit y'all? Huh? Where'd y'all go? Something to think about. This was one of my aha moments with this. With water consumption, if we're moving a flock a day, and we have the 3 flocks, and say we're only using 10 gallons of water in this trough, do that once a day for 7 days, that's 70 gallons of water right there. As you dump. And then that's just a dump and fill. That's no cleaning. So those are the kind of things you need to be thinking about. Which was, again, a moment of clarity for myself with our water situation. That we don't have, well, we have a creek on property, but it's not accessible. Maybe one day we'll show you that, but who knows. But to get to the creek and get water, it's just not a feasible option. But we are actively in the process of taking care of our well situation when the power goes out. We have a plan and a process. Just have a couple things we have to put in place to be able to execute. So we're excited about that. But again, yourself, think about it. If you have livestock that you have to keep water in front of, how much water do you need and where are you going to get it from? And do you have any redundancies built in? Because say your first idea, although it works, something happens to it and you're not able to use that. Do you have a backup for your backup? And that's where the resiliency part comes in. You know, how prepared are you? Are you prepared past plan A and plan B? Because you just don't know. Oops, that's probably making a lot of noise, and I'm sorry about that. But again, Amy and I were not YouTube professionals. We're just sharing what we do. Hopefully you all get inspired by some of it. Hopefully it helps our family keep up with what we're doing here on the mountain. I know for me, I was able to look back on a video or two, kind of figure out some dates of when we were doing what, and I found that helpful. So, Annie likes chasing the buzzards, but I am thankful for this format, and this platform, I should say, so that, you know, we're able to look back on things, figure out when we've done stuff, see how far we've come, where we're still lacking, all that kind of stuff. Met a few nice people already along the way in this journey of YouTube. Hopefully we'll get to meet some more of you. And hopefully there'll be more of you to meet. We do believe this is a good platform for us to work on and work through. But like anything else in what we do, nothing's handed to us. But we don't mind the work. The work is a lot of the fun part of the journey. I'm going to be here forever if I don't find some way to prop this open. You're looking around for a stick and you got a tree right above you? Yeah. I know. I know another thing coming up really soon. This over here. So if y'all remember, that's the sweet potato patch that planted about 3 months ago. I know we got to get that out of the ground. As you can see, a lot of the leaves are starting. Excuse me. Sorry about that. A lot of the leaves are starting to yellow and turn. So we'll be digging that up. And I think what we're going to do, I might end up using this spot for some garlic. We got some garlic. I believe Amy got it from the Farm Connection. And I think once we got our sweet potatoes out of here, I think we're going to put the garlic right there again. It's either that or where the tomatoes failed. It's one or the other, because we want to keep it in full sun. I believe we still have a little bit of time. Looking at all different things, I think this is going to be like a mid-November planting. And hopefully the weather will stay good enough for us to plant. If I could get it done sooner, we'll get it done sooner, but we'll see what happens. But according to the moon phases, if y'all plant by moon phases, it's not until about mid-November where it's good to plant in the ground. Right now we're above ground plants. So, but I think that's enough blabbering for now. So I'm gonna go finish some work. Y'all take care now.